Well, as Jeffrey mentioned, I am a partner at KINETIK, which is a graphic design and marketing communications firm here in DC. And I'm also an adjunct faculty member at the Corcoran College of Art and Design, where I teach third-year graphic design students. And I'm not sure if my office is actually watching the webcast or not, but I have to say this. I love my work and I love my coworkers. Now, the reason I'm telling you that is because I'm going to let you in on a little secret that I'm confident will not leave this room. And that is, my experiences in the classroom with my students are some of the most invigorating of my life. The enthusiasm they bring to the classroom is really contagious. So after about 10 years of teaching, I started to wonder if there was a way to harness that energy and really make it into a more meaningful and memorable learning experience for them. What if I could channel that energy into a real problem within their community that affected them or others? So while I was pondering that question, Mark Randall and Andrea Pellegrino from the World Studio Foundation in New York approached me about a program they were working on in partnership with the Adobe Foundation, and that program is Design Ignites Change. Design Ignites Change is structured in a way that allows students to tackle real issues in their community working together. They're encouraged to go out into the community and examine problems that really affect the quality of life. Then working together, they find design-centered, human-centered solutions to these problems. Now, they're encouraged to use design thinking as a problem-solving strategy. I teach this class with Bob Lassiter. We team teach it. And Bob and I decided to add two more constraints to the mix. One was that they had to work as a team, which is very different for them. And they couldn't quit and they couldn't sit on the bench. That was it. And the other thing is they had 15 weeks to not only identify the problem, but to solve the problem. So I have two case studies I'd like to share with you. The first dealt with traffic congestion and alternative means of transportation. Through their research, they found staggering statistics on the waste of fuel and time and money, all due to traffic congestion. And they also found, which I'm sure isn't going to be a surprise to a lot of you, that the DC metro area is the 5th most congested in the nation. What they did, or what they wanted to do, was drive people to their website. And their website was an educational tool, but it also served as a portal so that visitors to the site could go to ride-sharing sites or public transportation sites within their own community. So to get the word out about their website, they created large, oversized graphics that featured their website. And they also created a really low-tech kind of interactive panel where people would go up and take an informational brochure off the panel, symbolically removing a vehicle from the roadway. Then they did research into the most heavily trafficked intersections in the DC area, and they took their message to their audience, directly to the streets during the busiest time of the day, which was afternoon rush hour, and they stayed there for the whole rush hour, essentially walking the block, displaying their graphics, and getting people to interact with their display. The second group I wanted to talk to you about is what Jeffrey mentioned, and this group was really concerned about pedestrian fatalities in the district. We've all heard about distracted driving. My students were equally as interested in distracted walking because they each had personal stories of walking down the street, either talking or texting, and running into a pole or a tree or thankfully a parked car. Their idea was that pedestrian safety was a joint responsibility between the driver and the pedestrian. What they wanted to do was bring an experience that would attract the pedestrian and the driver. They wanted to tell real stories about real people who were victims. And they wanted to do something that, if the person didn't see the experience, when they came across it on the street, they would be curious enough to seek out more information. So they too researched intersections, the intersections that had the highest number of fatalities, and they took templates and they drew chalk outlines on the sidewalk. And then, well, they essentially died. There was a town crier, there was someone standing who was shouting statistics, and then one by one they rose, and they shared informational cards about the person they were representing, about what they were doing or where they were going when they were killed. They also put magnets on the cards that were parked nearby, and they hung posters in the merchant windows near the intersection. The thing they left behind was the chalk outlines, which at first really concerned the DC Police Department. But what it ultimately did was attract NBC4, and the students in their message ended up on the nightly news and is still available on YouTube. So those are just two examples of the powerful work happening because of Design Ignites Change. Since that 2-year pilot started, 19 high schools and 34 universities and colleges are involved. More than 1,200 students have participated in Design Ignites Change. And the World Studio Foundation has raised about $30,000 through sponsorship and grants that has gone directly to these student projects to take them to the next phase of implementation. If you want more information, you can certainly visit their website, designigniteschange.org. During the break, you can come up and scan my back. You don't even have to talk to me. That's what's the great thing about it. You can just walk up behind me. However you get to the site, what you're going to find is more information on the program. You'll also find case studies from all the participating schools. So in the end, my students, through Design Ignites Change, answered my what-if question. And the thing that's exciting for me is that they're taking the skills they learned back into the communities that they live, well, actually into the communities that we all live. They're taking the skills, but they're not only taking those skills, they're taking the knowledge they gained from the personal experience that design can, in fact, ignite change. Thank you.